What's going on, guys? Welcome to another one of Black Iron's battles. Today we've got a Total War Warhammer 1 versus 1 multiplayer battle for you, where I am facing off against my opponent, FireatWill, who's a good friend of mine, and he is using his Wood Elf army. And I have decided for this match to bring a Wintertooth army. I'm led by this Marauder Chieftain who's on this Chariot. And other than that, though, I've pretty much stripped him all the way down. I've taken away all his abilities, and I was really just trying to make him as cheap as possible so I could bring just a big infantry heavy army. A lot of the time when you pick Wintertooth, people expect for you to bring a monster heavy army. So I wanted to bring some infantry to kind of switch it up. So first off, over here on the flanks, you'll see we've got these armored skin wolves. And we also have a group of Norsca ice wolves. So with their frostbite ability, they are able to slow down enemy troops when they're attacked. And so that'll allow these armored skin wolves to get in there, catch up, and just do some major damage. If we look, you see I've also got a second group of ice wolves and armored skin wolves over there on the left flank. And I was really trying to do a pincher movement and see if I could, just get into the back lines and do whatever nasty damage I could to my opponent, through the art of trickery. Here in the front line, where we're not tricking anyone, we've got these Marauder Spearmen. So these units are, for the Beastmen, they're tier 1 units, but they are, they've got actually a good amount of defense. So when I play my Norscan campaign, I was using these guys to kind of be my anvil. And while they don't have a ton of defense, they've only got 38. They'll be, hold for long enough for you to be able to get your damage dealers in there and do some work. And now for damage dealers, I've got these 3 groups of Marauder champions. Those are those elite axe infantry. They look super cool if we zoom in here. They've got those helmets, and I mean, they've got all different models. So those are just super cool elite units. And we've also got the brutes of the HOUND, which are the regiment of renown. They've got those 2 glowing axes. They've got frenzy, anti-infantry. These things are going to do tons and tons of damage to light units. And finally, in the back, we've got these 2 groups of Marauder hunters with javelins. Now, they are able to do a good amount of damage since they're anti-large. So if you see here, they've got 7 armor piercing. They've got 15 bonus versus large, which, these guys will be doing tons of damage if they're attacking on this dragon over here. So for the Wood Elf army, you'll see that he does have a forest dragon. Now that is pretty much one of my favorite dragons. I can't wait till next month when they're going to have breath attacks. And on top, he does have a glady. So you see she's got her bow there, she's got her quiver. They've got Arrow of Kurnus as well as Prey of Anathrama to lock us down, and he'll just be able to do a ton of damage. You saw the Kindle Flame effect on there. But besides poison, I mean, that'll be able to do a ton of damage, and the only thing I can do to deal with it is use those javelins. So here in the front, you'll see he's got 4 groups of Glade Guards, so that is a ton of archers. He's just got the regular variety, which will be great against those unarmored troops. They'll be able to tear apart those Marauder Spearmen if they're able to get some fire in. Over on each flank, he's got 2 groups of Azrai Spears, as well as 2 groups of regular War Dancers. So you can tell it looks like he thought I was going with monstrous units. He's got tons of archers. He's got these, 3 groups of Eternal Guard, but he doesn't have shields on them. And in the back, he's also got this group of Wildwood Rangers, which always look super cool with their hoods and their glaives. They'll be able to do some major work, but they're pretty glass cannons. So if you're not paying attention, you can lose those Wildwood Rangers real quick. Over here on the right flank, you'll see he does have a group of Wild Riders, and so their charge bonus is so big. It's like 60 and 85 speed, so they should be able to do some major work if they're not caught up by those ice wolves. Let's go ahead and get this battle started. All right, so right off the bat, we're going to want to start moving up our groups of ice wolves and our groups of skin wolves, and you see that we have not noticed those Wild Riders yet. So we just kind of want to move up. You'll see here I'm just kind of trying to position myself. I should be moving up a little bit farther. And we're just going to try to get in there and get into action right away, because since he's got these Glade Guard, I do not want to let him just post out of range and do as much damage as possible with these Spearmen. I really want to get in there and do some work. So you see I am going to start moving in. I'm starting to just get in there and attack. I've also got the these groups of Marauder Hunters on a different group. So we're going to have them start trying to chase around this Glade Lord, because they'll be able to do a ton of damage if they shoot at that Forest Dragon. Over here on the right, you'll see I'm starting to get these Ice Wolves around. We're getting the Skin Wolves also, and we're just trying to really make him pay attention to a lot of different places at one time. Over here on the left, I think I'm about to just notice, oh man, look at those archers taking shots. But we are able to get in there before we take too many. And now, since they're shooting at these Marauder champions, they are gonna at least be shooting at a unit which has a shield. But they, look at that, they're able to take about half of the health off that unit before he's able to get engaged. Over here on the left is just a nasty battle though. You'll see this group of Azrai Spears is taking some major heat from this Brutes of the Hound, and these Berserkers are just made to kill these War Dancers. So if you look at that, I mean, after the initial engagement, these War Dancers are just about to be routed off. If we look at the main battle, we have managed to get all of our Marauder champions mixed in with those Spearmen. And so the Spearmen, if you see, have taken that initial charge and a little bit of that initial vigor, and then that allows these Marauder champions to come in here and clean up. Here in the back, we have managed to get this group of Norsca Ice Wolves. We were able to run them into a group of Glade Guard. And look at this. We have also got this Marauder Chieftain in the back. He is going to do some major damage. We're putting Cascading Fire Cloak on him, so he is just going to be able to smash through a bunch of those archer units. Over here on the right, you'll see he does have his Azrai Spears engaged with my Skin Wolves, which isn't a great matchup for me because he's also routed off those Ice Wolves. But as long as I'm attacking on a couple different sides, that's going to be great for me. Here in the main battle, you'll see we are fighting with that Marauder Chieftain up against this Branch Wraith. And this Branch Wraith is going to take major damage from that Chieftain. Besides kind of being surrounded by champions and spearmen him, he is pretty much going to rout right off. So it is really going great for me. I wasn't able to catch it, but if you see here, we were able to catch these Wild Riders with these Ice Wolves. And since they're broken and slowed, they're just going to be able to kill them until they're off the field. Here at the main battle, you see it is starting to go in my favor. So those Eternal Guard were not able to just stand up to the combined might of those Marauder Spearmen and Champions. And we are going to start, you know, we have been just throwing a ton of Javelins. So you see this lady is actually taking about a third of her health and damage before she charges in there on that dragon and just starts doing tons of work. But unluckily for her, we're going to start surrounding her with those cheap Spearmen and Champions. The champions aren't cheap, and then we're going to spread these two groups of hunters out, so at least one group will be able to fire. Now you see that Will sees that, and so he's going to start trying to get this Branch Wraith right into the back of these hunters and tie them up so they're not able to free fire on that Glady. If you look at the overall scheme of things, it is really starting to dwindle down. I've got 638 troops still to Will's 225. So, you know, the fact that I was able to get there into the back and I was able to smack into all those archers as well as chase off that group of Wild Riders, that Branch Wraith charging in there, but I think it may be a little bit too late, even though he is able to rout off the Ice Wolves again. I was able to get the Marauder Hunters away. So since the Ice Wolves slow their targets, you're able to run away your archery or your ranged units and then hopefully get a few more shots in. If they weren't facing the wrong direction, they'd be able to do some major damage. You see over here that we have gotten these Brutes of the Hound have got 131 kills. They were able just to do tons of damage. I really love that Regiment of Renown. The Marauder Chieftain was in here doing battle. They were able to rout off that last group of oh man, those glaive infantry, the Wildwood Rangers, and you know, we were able to just carry the day. So if we take a look at this post-battle wrap-up, you'll see here that we did get a ton of kills on that Marauder Chieftain. So the fact that he was on that Chariot, he was able just to get in and out of these lines, drive into the Glade Guard, drive back into the backs of the Eternal Guard. I mean, he was all over the place, especially since he was getting buffed by that Lore of Fire. The Spearmen, as you see, even though I bring them kind of as fodder units to be in the front, you see they were able to get a lot of kills between them. Between 24, 30, 10, 51, that's about 100 kills between them. So, I mean, they got almost as many kills as these Marauder Champions. But if you look, I mean, they did take that initial charge, so they do have a little bit less health. And these Marauder champions are still really, really full. So they were able to get in there and really not take a lot of damage. They would have been able to continue fighting for a long time. You see the Brutes of the Hound, they were able to get 131 kills. They were the stars. I mean, when you saw that group of Azrai Spears just melt before this group of Brutes of the Hound. So these Marauder Berserkers are able to do a ton of damage to lightly armored units. You see the Marauder Hunters with javelins. They didn't get any kills, but they were able to just harass that Glade Lord. And I feel like they were just more of an annoyance this round than anything. But, you know, you do have to bring them just in case of those flying units. You are able to annoy them and, you know, kind of keep them from just hovering over and causing you leadership problems. For my flanking units, my Ice Wolves and my Skin Wolves, they were able to take off this group of Wild Riders on the left flank, and these guys were able to, you know, mess with the Wildwood Rangers as well as the second group of Azrai Spears. So, but for their cost, they were able to detain a significant amount of these Wood Elf troops. So all my units performed pretty well. I was pretty happy with my setup, and I think that what it was is just Will was really planning for that monster army with trolls and mammoths and things like that. So for Will's army, you see he's got the Glady. He brought her up on that Forest Dragon. You saw he had a Branch Wraith as well as a bunch of Eternal Guard, and they were able to get, you know, 31 kills, 24 kills, but that was a lot of that was against these Spearmen. So he really needed to get just a lot more kills with these Rangers and the Azrai Spears. And while they were able to hold the flanks, just the sheer numbers of the Wintertooth Horde were able to just press down on them and do some major damage. You see the War Dancers got about 70 or 80 kills between them. And they were actually the stars of this battle because they had a little bit higher damage. So they were able to just bash through a couple of those Marauder champions. Here in the bottom, you'll see the Glade Guard. I mean, that was the real problem. There's just a lot of money here in the Glade Guard and the Wild Riders. And, you know, for that kind of cost, we just needed a lot more kills. I was really able to get into them because I was surrounding and, you know, there was just so many things going on at once with the mobile armies. I think I was able to get in there before he was ready and just smack down those Glade Guard. That was a great game to my buddy FireatWill. Thank you so much for playing with me, and thank you guys all so much for watching. Please subscribe below for more great online content. This is Black Iron, and this has been another one of Black Iron's Battles.